there's such a vibe, the music, like the dances, the entertainment, even just the way they commentate. Like me and my best friend Alice Koenig, we had a good like pick and roll game. And, you know, they're like, oh, salt and pepper, baby.
Yeah.
Or, like, my nickname there was like, it's a cold world. And I'm like, you don't get that in 5-on-5.
Yeah.
Oh, was that after the win?
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, guys, just in case you were going to say that.
Oh! Hey! Gee, that didn't take long. That was quick. Dad, we got a bit of a basketball fever going on today.
Absolutely. Royalty in the house.
WNBL champion recently. Beck Cole, welcome to the show.
Guys, just in case you were going to say that.
Oh! Hey! Gee, that didn't take long. That was quick. I love that.
And that's why we say to the listeners, that's why you need to go watch on YouTube.
You need to
because
watch
Beck,
the show.
Could you describe, Beck, what are you holding in front of you?
I'm not going to lie, it's a bit dirty from like the week of partying I did after.
Yeah, wonder what that's come across.
Yeah. But really, it's sterling silver. This is our championship ring that we get. It says the signet like WNBL on the side. And then Opal is our national team. So that's what that is like on the side here, which I quite like because it matches our Southside Flyers colours.
Yes.
Like that's not on purpose. It just, you know, suited it. But yeah, it ain't no LeBron James or Tom Brady.
Oh,
ring.
you don't need to mention those names.
So, you know, we'll just put it back in here, but...
No,
is it, how heavy is it?
Yeah.
No, I don't want to, I'm scared.
Oh, it's not crazy heavy. Wow, that's really nice.
Wow. Do you just pass it around willy-nilly? Like,
yeah.
where do you not take it with you? Well, what's off limits to take
Well, I normally wear it for like a week
heavy.
or two after we win because it's not often that you actually win a championship. Like you realise once you get to the senior level, making a grand final is so hard, let alone actually winning one. So I'm lucky I have 2 of them now.
I was going to say, like, I'm never going to get the opportunity to hold something like this again. So that's amazing.
You can wear it for the whole ep if you want, and then I will give it
we
back.
don't want to risk. We don't want to get it surgically taken off.
Who was the other grand final with? Or?
Southside Flyers
Same as well.
Yeah, we were coveted in the hub, in the bubble. So that one was a bit special because it was a very interesting time, but also a bit sad because we didn't really celebrate it. It was like we won the whole thing. I maybe had 2 glasses of champagne and then we were back home the next day.
Yeah.
And then the season's done.
Where was that?
In Queensland, and we was in between Townsville, Cairns and Mackay.
Yeah,
Dangerous.
okay. And there was no crowds. Was there no crowds?
No, I don't think so. Or maybe at some point in Townsville there were crowds. Yeah.
So talk to when you win a championship. Tell us about the next 24 hours. This is what we love hearing.
Yeah.
Hey, how about we ask what happened in the last 24 hours?
Yeah.
So what happened, it was really good. Both the semi-final series and our grand final series, we played to game 3 because it's a best of 3. So, like, you're exhausted. Like, when you win, it's a weird word to say, but you're actually relieved.
Yep.
Like, and on paper, we had the team that should have won the championship. And you're just so happy, but you're so exhausted, like emotionally, physically, but like you just run on adrenaline. So Jerry Ryan, who's our owner, we're so blessed because he's like turned this club into a professional environment. He owns the Prince on Fitzroy Street.
Yeah.
We're just talking about STK,
There you go.
3182.
There you go. Look at that.
Very happy.
That's Lauren Jackson, the GOAT.
Wow.
Yeah, that game, okay, normally I'm a fist pumper. My tongue was out of my mouth the whole time. And I actually got a tech foul because me and the other coach who have some banter.
I think I was going to say beef.
Because LJ hit a 3. Text me up, luckily we're up. But yeah.
Yeah, the tongue's out.
There we
Yeah,
go.
so I play with a lot of emotion, that's for sure. And I love playing in front of a crowd. Like that gets me going. And I think, say, once hopefully I still have a few years left of me, but retired, that's what I'm going to miss, like that feeling. So anyway, took that energy, took it to the Prince, and it was so good. We had family, friends, open bar. we ended up going out after, and that's like, I don't go out a lot because I'm old now and my body hurts all the time.
Oh, we feel you.
But
we feel you too, Beck. Yeah.
Yeah, we had I rocked up in, my Pit Vipers, my ring on. We had a Flyers tee, just bike shorts, and just danced till like 4 a.m. Couldn't live the next day. Like I said, I don't go out.
Is there like a Mad Monday in basketball like there is footy?
Normally we do. And sometimes it's just so hard because this season went quite long. We had young girls who, say, didn't play a lot of minutes, then go into our off-season league who are like, well, I want to keep playing. Like, I didn't get a lot of minutes, didn't get a lot of time. Like, that's where your head goes. And then our imports almost leave the next day. And then if you're not from the state, so like Melbourne, you also leave. And like we had a few mums and stuff. So we have had some Mad Mondays, and I love a theme. Like I love a dress up.
Yeah, all about that.
Yeah, it's like that Mean Girls. I think in the movie, it's like, it's the one night of a year you can like, dress like a slut and it's okay. And I'm like, period.
Yeah, fair enough.
Mad Monday.
Yeah, so love it. We didn't, unfortunately, but it was my birthday like 2 days later. So the girls that were there, we went out, and then I got to go on a
4-day
holiday
bender. Yeah.
to Japan for 3 weeks.
There you go.
Oh my God. So I want to know then, like you mentioned imports, right? And this is interesting because we've spoken to a lot of athletes on this show in different sports. So cricket's a good example where you got a lot of athletes come in for a very short period of time, might play a few games and they jet off, but they're not invested in the team. What's your experience of imported players, or maybe you playing, in overseas teams?
Yeah, it's definitely every team and every import is different. Like you have some who are just, they come over, they're here to do a job, don't really like mesh with the team. And, you try your hard, especially as me as a captain. Like one of my main things is I want to get everyone together, everyone feel trust, like you build that culture. But we were so lucky, like this season. So we had Mercedes Russell, who plays for Seattle Storm in the WNBL, nicknamed Slim. We had her a couple of seasons ago where we fell short and we lost in the grand final series. And she's the most chill human being like I've ever met, and is just there to ball out and like be there for a team. So like you couldn't ask for a better teammate in her. And then we had Jazz Dickey, who she was like a younger, coming into the league for the first time, and she was awesome. She was like quite introverted at the time, and then she had me as her roommate for our first road trip. So I think that helped her get her out of her shell.
Yeah.
And it was good. And she's just Energizer Bunny, so athletic. And really came into her own. And like by the end, because she came out of her shell, you're like, oh, you're that little like cheeky devil that, once someone knows you, you're a good time.
Yeah.
But it's all about building that trust. It's a new country. I know we speak the same language, but it's like you leave everything that you know to come here to put a ball in a hoop. So it's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
You mentioned Jerry Ryan and like what a big impact he's had on the side. What is the difference that someone with money that comes and invests? Like, what are the differences that you notice and see as the athlete and the player when you don't have someone like Jerry to when you do have him invest in it?
Yeah, massive. Like, I remember earlier on in my career, we were training in the afternoon. So like people would have full-time jobs or at uni, and then you're training from like say 4 till 6. You would do your gym in your own time, like it wasn't with the team. So, fast forward 5 years later, and wow, now we've had Jerry come in. He's created an environment where we have a full-time S&C coach. We're now getting food prepared for us for lunch. We have physios there, not full-time, but we're real lucky. A lot of them will come to trainings if we need to, but they're one day where we get treatment and also a masseuse. They've just renovated where we train. So nowadays, literally, we're full-time athletes.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's what we want, because we train and we work just as hard as the men. But a lot of us still, the younger girls, they're at uni or they're finding jobs. And I'm like, I don't know how you do that when we're pretty much there, say, 8 till 3.
Yeah.
I couldn't do that. I go home and I'm in recovery mode, and then I go to sleep. So the fact Jerry's been able to provide that, not only for us, but helped a couple of other teams, it's huge for the next generation especially.
Yeah, that's a very good question, Dos.
Thank you.
No.
Yeah. Where do you train, by the way? Where's
State Basketball Centre out in Montana.
Okay. Yeah.
I was going to ask, so, like, and I look back at when I was growing up at school, we're all 90s babies here, so, and I think I wasn't really exposed to basketball, I feel, until I got older. So I don't remember ever watching NBA or NBL or was even put in front of me. So how did you come to watch even the sport as a kid, if you did at all?
Yeah, so I'm a bit like, I guess, random in how I fell into basketball. I have 2 older sisters. They're 6 and 8 years older than me. So I was like, I'm full baby. And when you get to know me, you're like, yeah, that explains a lot. But we all did netball and track and field. And, you know, I'd be like, Mum, are we going to the beach today? Because I thought the sandpit for long jump was the beach. And I would like have the best time. So we all did that. And then my dad's actually ex-Socceroo. So my sisters played soccer.
Yep.
And I loved it. I would still muck around with the ball when I would go watch them. But when I was 7 years old, my teammate who I went to school with, played netball with, was like, oh, hey, Beck, do you reckon you could just like come fill in for my team? And I was like, Mum, like, is it okay if I go? She's like, yeah, sure. I played my first game and was like obsessed. Mum said I came home. She's like, sign me up. I was obsessed with the uniforms. I thought that was so cool. And I think I loved the fact you could play offense and defense.
Yep.
Pretty sure I was a ball hog for like a good month till I learned like, girl, you got to pass the ball. Like it's a team sport. But yeah, that's how I got into basketball. And I didn't watch a lot because I didn't really know a lot about it. So
It wasn't like Mike the movie.
No, yeah, right. I like now I watch WNBA like it's a religion. I love it, and like I'm into the NBA as well. But that probably I didn't really start watching that till like my early to mid 20s.
Well, see, I was the same, and that's why I asked that because I
Yeah.
don't like. There was kids at our school, obviously being in Victoria, obviously AFL tends to normally be number one, but there was a group of kids that loved basketball. But when they talked about it, I'm like, I don't think I ever even like. I never watched a game ever, so that's why I was interested to know.
Is that your old man?
Yeah, look at the quads on that guy. That's where I got that from.
What's his name?
Gary Cole.
Gary Cole.
So he was born in England, and he came over when he was 15 from London.
Okay.
And then
did he play in England too?
He played soccer over there, but not for like the national team.
So how old was he when he came to Australia?
15 years
sorry,
old.
I missed that. 15.
Yeah. And then he actually met my mum. They fell in love. He used to carry her books home from school. Chivalry ain't dead.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's a proper movie.
And then he was playing professional football. So it's pretty cool. He actually made it into the Guinness World Book of Records for scoring the most goals in one game. And then he was part of the A-League and building Melbourne Victory from the ground up. He was there for like 7 seasons. And him and, have you heard of Archie Thompson?
Yeah, we've had him on the show.
Yeah, so obviously they're at the same club and Archie's like, oh, Gaz, I'm going to beat your record, like, because they played like Fiji or, you know, somewhere
yeah,
where
that game.
The Archie game.
Yeah, and then
right.
Archie beat him and came back. I was like,
So that's the
Gaz,
record.
I did it,
Okay.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Interesting.
do you follow soccer then at all?
Yeah, so I grew up, I'm like not a Melburnian, and like if you ask me who's your team, I'd be like St Kilda. Who's your favourite player? Nick Rewalt. Like,
Same as me. So
so not a Melburnian, still like love sport, would go watch it if someone invited me, but grew up more around the real football, soccer. Yeah.
No, we
That's okay.
love
We're
it.
we're
Yeah.
big.
Melbourne Victory and the A-League. So that's,
Where's Melbourne City? That's the only issue.
Yeah, I'm the
there.
other Melbourne team.
That's okay. They like didn't exist when I first
that's
went
true.
in.
No,
Yeah.
that's very true.
That is very true. So growing up with obviously being of 3 sisters, were you competitive? Was it a sporty household? Is that where you get your competitive juices from, being the youngest of 3?
Yeah, well, I feel like when I was younger, I was just like the annoying child that they, like my
The
sisters
youngest
didn't
always
want to
is.
play with me. But I was competitive with anything. If it was like Crash Team Racing, Mario Kart, Monopoly. Like, I think I used to cheat all the time in Monopoly because I could never win it, like, by myself
bloody long
naturally.
game.
I used to play that with my sisters too. Yeah.
But I was competitive always, but especially with Dad.
Yeah.
Like, even if it was, how many times can you kick the soccer ball before it bounces?
juggle
like,
it, yeah.
just like small stuff like that. I was like, I need to win. Like, whatever it was, that was always me. But I didn't really ever go out and like train with my sisters. I think because there was a bigger age gap. But it's more like I would challenge myself. Like I remember Mum and Dad put up a basketball hoop in our driveway. And I remember Mum would come rebound for me, and if I was practicing foul shots, I'd be like, this is to tie the game, the first one, you know? Or like, this is for the championship, or this is to make the Oz team. Like I'd make everything a challenge.
Yeah.
So, sorry, just is your mum got a sporty background too or not?
So she actually her side were more like water babies. So like surfing and swimming and
So got a real hybrid athlete.
Swimming is not my best asset, but they were more water babies, and she did a state level, but nothing like further than that.
This episode of the dos&d show with the superstar Beck Cole is brought to you by our good friends at Fleetplan Hire Solutions.
They're a slam dunk in my eye.
Swish!
When it comes to earth moving equipment. I mean, you look no further than Fleetplan Hire. Big project, small project. Even who knows? You want a basketball court at the back of your house? I'm sure they whip it up.
If you want your earth moving needs to hit the back of the net, see what I did there?
Well done.
Thank you. You go and visit Chris and the team at Fleetplan Hire Solutions because they have the best customer service in the game. What's that website again, Dos?
It's www.fbh.com.au.
Back to the episode.
In recent time, like I'd love to hear, it's probably on like a sadder note, but obviously like the passing of Corey Homicide Williams just recently. We had Mitch Creek on the show, like, was it last year? Or?
No, very start of this year.
And you guys obviously have your podcast as well, but you know, at the time we asked Mitch about the impact that Corey's had on him, but do you want to maybe touch on maybe, you know, the passing of him and the impact he might have had on you, or times you've met him or your relationship?
Yeah. So I was fortunate enough, I went to his service on the weekend, and it was just so beautiful, and you could tell how many hearts like he really had touched. And it was awesome listening to his sister speak. She was like all smiles and was like got everyone clapping and, you know, saying that Corey would want this to be a happy time, which he like so would want that. He'd be like, why are y'all crying? Like, he just put so many people before himself. And Gazy spoke as well, and that was so beautiful. But it was amazing to see just everyone like show up for him. But I remember the first time I really connected with Corey was during 3x3 when it had just really started, and we were having these like hustle events, and, you know, I was balling out, but you know, I think we connected because, you know, we're quite out there personalities, and I love someone who's just like authentically themselves and doesn't really give a damn, you know, what people think. And that was like him to a T. Yeah. And I just loved it. Like he would commentate like some 3x3 and just like the nicknames he would come up for me, like I loved it. Like it was the best, and he just genuinely got around me and wanted good things for me. And then doing some things in the NBL, you know, you spent more time around with him. But the last time I saw him was actually at Summer Jam. Again, that might have been earlier this year, I think. And seeing someone, it's like when a parent gets sick and you see them as like so strong and, you know, I guess like colour in their face, and you saw him and he was skin and bones, and that's when you're like, oh, this shit's real. But the outlook he had, he's like, I'm doing everything I can. Like no matter if it's woo-woo or, you know, scientific, I'm doing it, and like I've got this. Like he was so positive, and I'm like, I left feeling so inspired just by sitting and have a conversation with him, and you know, looking at him, you wouldn't necessarily think that.
Yeah, no, well said. Absolutely. I want to hear about you as a captain. So what's your leadership style? How do you, and in terms of leading women in basketball and obviously from all parts of the world, talk to us about how you lead. If we were to come into your club, obviously it's a bad example, but how does it all go in terms of embracing people to how you captain to how you lead?
Yeah, I think especially in female basketball, we're probably not as vocal like growing up. So when I was younger for my under-19 Australian team, I was co-captain. My other captain, she was very vocal, and I was more, I got that co-captaincy role because I like led by example. I would work my butt off. Like I was professional. I was there on time. I was, so competitive. That's why I got it.
Yep.
Like I wasn't really vocal. And growing up, I got better at that and learning experiences. And, as you get older, you grow wiser. And I was vice captain to, my best mate, Jenna O'Hay at Flyers for ages. And then she retired and I was fortunate enough to, get the captaincy role. And such an honour, because I think it's something I really wanted as well. But I do believe now going through it all, especially in team sport, I don't think there's a right way of leadership. Like my strengths won't necessarily be your strengths and that's fine. That's just something I'm good at and I don't think it's just up to one person.
Yep.
So if I'm really good at, I guess maybe like giving constructive feedback, I will be doing that. Whereas you might be then following up with like, hey, you got this, like bum tap, like that small thing. But us doing that together means we just did something really good for one of our teammates. So I don't feel like it's just up to one person. But if you came in to me at training, I'm quite like energetic and a bit crazy at the start of training because I want to get the energy going,
Yep.
And then once we've done our warm-up, it's like, okay, game face is on, we're serious. I like to give inspirational talks. So I remember it was so good. Like right before my grand final series, I was watching an Apple TV doco about the Patriots and Tom Brady. And it was something that they did. And I was like, the shit inspired me. I was like, I'm so glad I watched this. And I think it's up here. Yeah, look.
Is that a video?
I have veins like popping out everywhere.
Oh, so can we play that?
Yeah, play it.
Yeah.
Let's have a look.
We trusted! We trusted! We believed! We believed! We fought! We fought! We left it on the floor! We left it on the floor! We grabbed it with two hands! We grabbed it with two hands! And we're the champions!
Oh, was that after the win?
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah,
what
but
you were talking
before
about,
that
Connor?
game,
Is that what you were talking about? Yeah.
but before that game, I did something similar, and I've never got my team to repeat back to me either. So they were all like, "What the fuck's going on?"
Before the game?
Yeah. But they loved it. But normally, that's me. Like I bring the energy, I bring that motivation, and then for the younger kids coming through, I want to teach them. Like I was young once, and it does mean a lot when you have someone being like, "Hey, you missed that person on that cut. Make sure you look at that. But that was so good what you did on that drive." Like that can mean a lot and change someone's just like outlook for the day. So that's probably a bit of me, but yeah, that probably fucking summed it up.
I love that. And are you given like free reign to do that by coaches and the staff to kind of do it your way in that sense?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
We will have a leadership team, leadership group as well. Like I know AFL, they have a bajillion people, so it's full. But we normally have like 3 or 4 of us and a coach, and we'll have meetings and we set, I guess, our values, and like culture is such a big thing in team sport, and that's like a difference between winning and losing games. And you can be down. And there's teams, if you're not connected, I'm pointing at you, you did this, you did that, blah. Whereas other teams, you see them rally. And yeah, they might be like, guys, not good enough. But they get behind each other and they come from 20 points down and win. Like it's nuts. Yeah. So like this season we had, I came up with it called the Golden Gloves Award. So I asked my coach, I was like, oh, like, do you think we could do this? And she was like, yeah. So our 2 things from our meeting were resilient and connected. They were like our 2 main things. So I made some golden gloves like online. Resilience was across the glove, because I was like, if people keep throwing punches, like we got to keep hitting them one back. We can't give up. And then connected was on the strap, because I was like, okay, coming on and off, like we got to be one. So within, obviously, we want to win the game on the weekend. We then almost had another, I guess, award within that, win or lose, who showed the most resilience and the most connectedness, and we would all vote as a team, and then they would get, those golden gloves for the week. Yeah. So, again, I saw that from other teams do it, and I was like, I really like that. And again, it adds another element of we're fighting for what we want to be known as a team, and we must do it.
Yes.
You know, and you will get rewarded for it
Yep.
as well.
How have you seen the landscape shift across the WNBL over the years? So from the time you might have entered the league to now, what are some of the major changes you've found?
Yeah, probably fan and crowd engagement, like
Yep.
for sure how many bums on seats we're getting.
So what do you think roughly when you started you were getting versus roughly now? I know it's a hard question.
Okay, so do you know the Veneto Club
No.
in
No.
Bulleen? It's like where
Wait, is that like an
men
Italian
play
place?
bocce.
Yeah, I've used to drive past there on my way to uni all the time.
Yeah.
No,
It
no,
was
no.
It's
maybe
in it's near Bundura.
yeah, one side had some stands and then there were some chairs on the other side.
Gotcha.
You know, whereas now we're at SBC where there's full layout of
Yeah.
chairs, there's you know, courtside seats. Last season we did an amazing game at John Cain Arena.
Yes.
And that attendance was crazy. And I believe we can fill out arenas like that. And, you know, it's trending. We'll get there.
Yeah.
But the fact we're playing at the Veneto Club, you know, where you're still lucky to pack that out.
Yeah, right.
You know, that's pretty crazy. I guess social media is a big thing. So
Yep.
that has probably helped. And the likes of, you know, more of us Australians playing overseas in the WNBA. There's now such great talent coming into the league. So we have imports from Europe, WNBA, whereas we wouldn't have had such, I think, successful imports earlier on. Obviously, the pay has increased, which has, you know, been a fight of the players, and also I just guess how,
So the players drove that?
yeah, with the help of like our Players Association.
Yep.
You know, minimum wage, that wasn't a thing 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, we had people playing for peanuts, literally, just because we love the goddamn sport. So
Yep.
that's been something pretty awesome as well.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
Do you have maybe a bit of an anecdote or a story, someone, whether it's yourself or someone else, like, because you're playing because you bloody love the game. Do you know someone that worked a certain job or studied something, then worked another job and then came to bar? Like, is there someone or is there a story like that you know, like that's how much someone has done it, and now you're at a point where is it full time?
For some of us,
some?
yes.
Okay.
Still for some
Yeah.
of us, no.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm fortunate enough through like flyers and then the off season, and then, you know, I'm also preparing now for like life after basketball. I have some like few media gigs that, again, that's like another side of income. But yeah, I remember this was probably like 5 seasons ago, where there were girls who they were sort of in that age of like, they could either really make it or they might not. It was sort of that like really crucial year. And they would come to training. We were training in the morning. You know, we'd get shots up before, say for half an hour, 45 minutes, and we would train for 2 hours. Then we would go lift for an hour. And that's like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, if you know,
big chunk of the
if
day.
you're rushing, yeah. Then they would be like, oh, I have to make sure that like I'm going home to study for 2-3 hours, or they were having to go to uni. And then some of them were like, oh, and then I like, but tomorrow I have to go be a receptionist to pay for petrol to get to the stadium.
Yeah.
Like I was blessed in my early 20s, mum and dad were like, you can live rent free. And like anything you need, we'll pay for you as long as we know that you're working your butt off to be the best basketballer you can. Not everyone has that, you know? So I know I was blessed, but yeah, some girls were doing, you know, part-time jobs as like a receptionist, as well as studying, as well as training. And I was gobsmacked. I was like, I know when you have to do what you have to do, you do it. But when it's, you know, you're not having to, I was sitting back like credit to you guys, because I don't know if I
That's
could.
another level. Yeah.
Like we speak to multiple different codes, men and women's, and different sports. They all have different, I don't want to say necessarily issues or problems, but things they would like to improve on. So recently we've actually had a couple of A-League people, and they're always talking about it's got to be talent and it's going to be money and exposure. In terms of to improve the overall product, what do you believe would be the number one thing to inject into the sport? So is it
Marketing.
Marketing. Okay.
Yeah.
So what kind of
So I'm
marketing?
very passionate on
Yeah.
on
Well,
this
talk to us
topic.
about, yeah.
Yeah, well, I have been told by an agent, okay, say we're going for Water deal, Coolridge, right?
Yeah.
You play AFL, you play netball. They actually like me the most, meeting with me and my, my personality or what I could bring. They were like, we will not pick you, not because of who you are, but because there's not enough eyes on your sport and what you do.
Yep.
I'm picking X,
AFL
Y, Z from other sports. And I was like, oh, that hurt my heart. But like, there's nothing really I can do there. And that's why I feel like some athletes, you do have to sort of try create your own brand and what you're doing. But man, when I'm training 4 or 5 hours a day, I don't want to set up a tripod and do it. Like it is, it is hard. But marketing definitely is like, I know it is money as well. So I get it's a two-way street, but people having more eyes on the game because like we're so talented and the game is good. The game is growing. Like, look what I guess the likes of Caitlin Clark has done over in the States. But not only are we great basketballers, we're great bloody role models. Like we have so many cool people with interesting stories that would help so many young girls. And also it's like a bit scary now with the fact that, footy and netball are now having good contracts. Are we going to lose younger girls to other sports because they know, oh, we can actually have a future where I don't have to do uni and work and try make it in basketball when I might not.
Yeah.
So to you as, say, the captain, a more experienced player than a lot of these younger girls, but like as a country, women's sport has always probably been not at the forefront like where the men are, right? So we're pushing really, really hard across all codes. We are. But are you kind of saying that you see other women's codes as a threat too?
Well, yeah, like I'm all...
Because we want the Matildas. We want, the AFLW. We want women to be, up there in terms of every sport. But I've never heard that element
Code Wars,
of it.
yeah.
Yeah, Code Wars, especially for girls.
Well, I just honestly think there are girls at the moment who, more for basketball, it's like footy or basketball, rather than like netball or basketball. And some girls will be like, I see a better future in football. So say I'm 20 years old, I've been playing both. I'm actually going to give AFL a red hot crack because I see more of a future in it than I do basketball. And I'm not saying don't do that, but I'm just saying it's sad that you're losing people who actually are passionate about the sport because maybe they don't see a future or they don't see a pathway. And I think that's sad. And like going to the Matildas, I came when they had a friendly versus France and then one of the games at Amy Park, and I was there like, how fucking good is this?
Yeah.
We didn't have this 5 years ago. No one really cared about the Matildas. Now look at them. And I was like, that feeling, like I said, playing in front of a crowd, but even just witnessing as a women's sports fan, I was like, this is sick. And I wish fans also were able to have the same experience watching women's basketball.
Okay, so can I throw in a devil's advocate hypothetical for you?
Yeah.
So, and I'm thinking of like a fringe player that could make it in a different code. So you look at AFL or basketball. AFL, you've got probably more opportunity in terms of list spots, maybe. Like the AFL, obviously they want to have 18 team, or how many are we up to? We're going to have 20.
It's nearly 8,
well, eventually 20 with, 40 players on a list, maybe 50 on a list, versus the WNBL and a lot less on the roster. So how is it for somebody that might be a fringe player that's weighing it up? They're not the top of the game, but they're like, I could possibly make this, but I'm hedging my bet on more opportunity to play, say, footy. Like, what would be your advice there? I know it's tough. It's hypothetical.
Yeah, I just think at the end of the day, you have to do what's right for you and what's going to make you happy. Like, I just think if you're also doing something that's not making you happy, you're not going to get the best out of yourself. You're not going to perform the best. So, like, of course, I would love everyone to play women's basketball, but if you're not happy and it's really, really hard. Like, the thing is, the sport's always going to be there. You might leave for a year and be like, oh, that was the worst decision of my life.
Of course.
Like, you'll be welcomed back with open arms. I don't think it's a case of that. But for me, I'm just do whatever makes you happy. I don't know if that's like necessarily the answer that you wanted.
But then I see the flip side is I see then there's a better product because the top end, there's more top end talent. So it's, do you know what I mean? Like,
I totally agree with you. It's so hard.
Well, what are the junior pathways like with basketball? Because I think that's also the other thing is the AFLW as the example were grabbing girls from other sports because they didn't have the younger girls because there was no pathways for younger girls.
Yeah.
So they were grabbing other athletes to market the women's game. Whereas now there's women's junior leagues, there's women's pathways. Has there always been strong junior pathways for female basketballers?
Yeah, juniors has always been like massive. It's also real funny, real quick side story. Think it must have been off season and I was doing like sprints in the park down at like Donvale football oval. And this coach was like, hey, do you want to come join my team? You look really fit and quick. And I was like, you haven't even seen me kick a ball. Like, I'm just doing sprints down the field.
Beck, honestly, our coach at our footy club would probably say the same thing. So they're recruiting people the exact same way. You're probably playing the seniors on the weekend.
Yeah, but no, basketball for juniors is like massive and one of my favourite times in like my whole life and created such good memories and like friends for life as well. So there's domestic that you normally play in. And then there's representative. So that's like, I think you train, I think it's like a Thursday and a Sunday and you play on a Friday. And that was sort of the next level and there'd be like, you know, the first, seconds, thirds, whatever. And if you were normally in the first or seconds continually through under 12s, 14s, 16s, those people were sort of the ones like taking it seriously. And then from there would be tryouts for like Victorian Metro or Vic Country, whatever state you're from. And I was lucky enough to make them there through 16s, 18s and 20s. And again, that's another pathway for then you to be seen when you go to nationals. Then that's how I sort of got invited to go to a tryout for a scholarship at the Australian Institute of Sport. You know, went there, lived there for 2 years, and then that's sort of where...
So you lived in Canberra?
Yeah, so you leave your family, your friends, you go live there, you eat, breathe, sleep basketball, but it was like the best thing. Like I'm 17, finished school, I'm like, this is so fucking cool.
Apart from being in Canberra,
That's why they put it there, because there's nothing else to do there.
I went on a tour. I went on a holiday to Canberra once. Or not a holiday, a weekend away to watch the AFL with my dad. And I remember going on a tour of the AAS, and I remember thinking, I would have only been 17 at the time, but I was like, imagine doing this. Like, just amazing.
So I was 17 and doing that, and it was sick. And also what I loved about that place was there were other sports. Yeah. And I'm like, it's cool to wake up and see people from other sports who have the exact same goals as me and, you know, working their butt off every day. And, you know, you would just talk about how, like, each sport was different and what they did for training. But it was just... How often are you in an environment like that? Like never. Yeah.
Very rare.
So is a college environment, the American college system, is that also a pathway?
Yes. So when I was younger, it wasn't, not many of us were doing it. It was not like frowned upon, but in a way, I guess it was just more of the unknown.
Yeah.
So maybe a bit more scary. I don't know if like Australians necessarily liked it, but now it's massive. So now, you know, you graduate.
Is that the main pathway now?
Pardon?
Is that the main pathway now?
Yes. Now, the Australian Institute of Sport is now called the Centre of Excellence. I don't think it has the same...
just doesn't have the same ring, does it?
Yeah. And more people will say no because they want to go to college now. So like college is...
you get the education too.
100%, And also like a life experience that you either go for 2 years and you hate it, or you go... and you stay for 4 to 5 years and you're like...
Don't worry, I've had some amazing
Canberra or California? Where are you going? Canberra, you know?
So, no, that's huge now is people going to college and experiencing that. And I think, excuse me, you're now seen to be drafted as well. So otherwise, normally it was like we would have a few people make it to the WNBA and that was just through like free agency and maybe they played in Europe and got seen. Whereas now you're over there. If you're good, eyes are on you, you can be drafted. So I think also that's probably more appealing.
Yeah.
Do you have any when it comes to recruiting, being like, you know, you're I'm going to call you the head honcho, right, of the team. You're a co-captain, or the captain. Do you have any involvement whatsoever in like who you need in your side and conversations with coaches and recruiting, whether it's from, you know, people from overseas, or do you have any involvement in that?
Yeah, like yes and no. So like say last season we were sort of on the hunt and watching the WNBA and I would just send through my coach like, hey, I reckon these people, just like the style of their play suits, you know, how we play, and I've heard good things about them. But like at the end of the day, 100%, if you have a relationship like, you know, you normally do as a captain with your coach, you're like the vessel between, you know, the team and them. You'll definitely have conversations, but at the end of the day, like it's up to the coaches, you know, what they want to do and what connects they have with agents as well, because that's how, you know, you get in contact with these players. And then, well, as the owner, like I'm not paying them, they are. So, you know, can you afford them and this and that? But definitely, for sure, like there's conversations that are had, but at the end of the day, like it's all up to them.
So you just said, can you afford them? How does it work? Is there a salary cap or no salary cap? Or
yeah, there is a salary cap.
So when you say, can you afford them, is there a soft cap or something to bring a player over and house them, or I don't know how it works?
Yeah, so like normally when imports come here, they get a car and they'll get a place to stay. And it's just more so like you might say, oh yeah, I'm cool to come for 100 grand, but you're like, I'll come for 300 grand. It's like, okay, no.
Yeah.
Like, so that's also more what I mean by like, okay. Can we afford them?
I see. Yeah, sure.
You've represented the Opals a few times. You've been overseas. Do you call it the Asian Cup essentially? Like, is it? Can you?
Yeah. So that's with 3x3.
3x3.
Yeah,
Okay, I'll get the two mixed up. So, well, maybe let's go 3x3. So, what was it like playing in that style of basketball and representing your country in that?
It's crazy. 3x3 is like when you play for the first time. You're like, it's like getting tackled, but it's not a foul. Like, it's so crazy. The physicality, the fact it's only like a quarter. Yeah, it's like a quarter court. And it's first to 21 or whoever's up at the end of 10 minutes. It's nuts.
10 minutes?
Like, you think you can be fit.
No,
you can't. But it's because it's so physical and it's go, go, go. So, the best.
See if you can find some footage, Connor.
And I have some good highlight reels. I was ranked number
you watch
one.
Those a bit?
Yeah. But what I loved is this is how I separate. 5-on-5 is more like suit and tie.
Yep.
And 3x3 is like the culture. So like you go to a World Cup, or Asia Cup, or like a world tour, you go. There's such a vibe, the music, like the dances, the entertainment, even just the way they commentate. Like me and my best friend Alice Koenig, we had a good like pick and roll game. And, you know, they're like, oh, salt and pepper, baby.
Yeah.
Or like my nickname there was like, it's a cold world. And I'm like, you don't get that in 5-on-5.
Yeah.
And probably, as you can tell, like that's my personality.
Yeah.
So I was thriving.
I can see that for sure. You would have been like, you're hearing that and just, you're on. Oh, shit, you're on. Like, I love that. That's awesome.
And probably as well, the friendships you make with the other countries is pretty sick. Like, you don't get that a lot.
Here we go.
So even just this music.
Yeah.
You know?
Very street style.
I feel like I'm in Brooklyn.
Hey.
There we go.
Oh, the entrances as well. I love that. You're taking the Mickey back.
Oh, that's old footage. That was my first game ever of 3x3.
Really?
Yeah. Hey.
Bit of
That guy
bit of
is like
going
the
on.
Kim Kardashian in the Philippines.
Really?
Yeah. Treat my girls like property, collect them like Monopoly. Did that sound good?
That's good.
Yeah. Do you have ambition to coach?
Oh, shit. No,
skin's crawling.
I have no ambition to coach whatsoever.
No, after seeing that.
We give coaches, I feel like we age them 10 years in one season. Like, I love the game so much. And when I was younger, I would coach, you know, individuals to younger kids and stuff. But no, just not what I want to do.
Now, have you got any more? I've got a couple quick fire.
I was going to go we didn't even touch on the fear thing, did we?
Well, that's what I was about to do. I was going to quick fire two questions for Beck.
Yeah.
First one, who's going to win the NBA?
Who's left now?
Celtics, Pacers, Mavs, and Timberwolves.
Or Who was
I
the
think
guy?
Celtics
Who
would-
was the guy who ran
no.
their
We trouble.
the Denver Nuggets and then got sacked and went to the other team?
I don't know.
Was that Dallas?
It might be. I don't know.
I think it's Dallas.
I wish I knew
I
more.
think,
the Denver just got knocked out.
yeah, it's Dallas.
Timberwolves, he's saying.
Oh, Timberwolves.
Timberwolves.
Okay.
But they just lost. They lost to Dallas. Who won today? There you go. Celtics won today. Celtics, surely. My second quick fire question, and this could be a regular on our show. Who
Yeah,
knows?
I don't mind it,
I like
actually.
this as
Yeah,
a bit of a
same.
funky question. What scared you as a kid?
And maybe preface that by saying why, because we've just
Yeah, well,
we've just come off our 200th episode, and we went to the list. Thanks,
you,
Beck.
thank
We
you.
went to the listeners, and they gave us what they were scared of as a kid.
Because they're rippers.
But just things that you just forget about now that you're an adult, and you realize, oh my god, I was terrified of that character or of that thing. Or what's yours? What do you got? One?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So you know how I said I was a baby? If I act like compared to my sisters, if I went to bed a little bit later, like past my bedtime, right? So I was still awake, I'd get to bed. My older sister and mum would watch the X-Files, and the
Music.
theme music
Yep.
at the
Yes.
start that was.
I know it.
And I'd be like this, like someone's
is
gonna
creepy.
kill me
That is
or
creepy
aliens
music.
are gonna come.
Well,
Yeah.
I always thought that with the Law and Order music. Dun, dun,
Yes,
dun, dun,
yes,
dun,
yes.
dun,
And then
dun.
a push.
SVU,
I don't remember that show.
Law and Order. No, Law and Order, like SVU.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
exactly. Yeah, that is, you know one I just came to my mind as well, which actually it's still a bit of a thing. You know when like you might be in the kitchen and your bedroom's like a while away and you got to turn all the lights off. And like
Running
you need to
to
get to your bedroom before
You're a runner.
Not anymore, but I used to be like that.
Yeah.
Like hated that.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, very, very.
Connor, can you bring over the golf box for us, or Bryce, one of you?
It's time.
It's time. It's time for our favourite part of the show. Thank you so much. Oop.
Oh my God, I'm excited.
Do you know about the golf box spec?
No.
No, that's good.
All right. Chuck
What's
that.
in the
I might
box?
Chuck that on that thing there. Oh, we'll get it funny.
So we'll explain in a second what it is. Oh, I gotta get the ad read, don't I?
Do you want me to explain what the...
Yeah, you can explain.
So essentially, a little humble box there, Beck. There's a few questions, challenges as well. You're going to pick one out, and if you complete it or answer it, there's a nice little goodie waiting for you on behalf of Golf Box.
complete it.
Oop.
Before you do.
Yeah, I better do
Oh,
the ad.
shit,
Better do the
sorry.
ad read
we gotta
quickly,
promote these legends, Golf
yes,
Box.
give me one
Have
sec.
Well, you know it off by heart now
I'm
anyway.
going to do it off golf. Watching the Golf Box is brought to you by our good friends at Golf Box, Australia's greatest golf superstore. If you need it, they have it and it gets to you.
Fast and free.
Shop online now, golfbox.com.au. Fast and free back at Golf Box. And there's
Beautiful.
beautiful.
Yeah,
There's a
there
bit
we
of
go.
product placement for you.
Yeah. Okay, what you got in
Oh,
there?
did she read one and throw it away?
No, that was because I cheated. Sing a chorus.
Yeah.
You just got that from me.
Yes.
From your favorite song. Okay.
Will we get it?
What's your favourite song?
Oh, it's really weird. I feel like if it was karaoke,
Yes.
it would be Pass That Dutch by Missy Elliott.
Do you know that one?
Misdemeanor on the floor, pretty boy, here I come.
Go for it. No, give us
No,
a
I don't
chorus.
think I know that.
Oh,
Give us a- I wonder
really?
if I saw-
Okay,
if I heard it.
Yeah.
nah. What's another song that I really like? Oh my God, can you name a song? I'm nervous.
Hakuna Matata.
I don't even know
No,
the
it's-
lyrics to that.
I don't know why that came to
Oh
me.
my God, can
Taylor
I?
Swift.
can
Ticket
I-
to
What's
Ride.
a Taylor
What-
Swift song?
Oh, I'm not a Swiftie.
No.
Sorry.
Oh, I'm not either.
But give us that rap song or whatever you're about to do.
Okay.
Yeah, give us a verse of that. Or a
give us
chorus.
By the way, these questions are so good. Okay. And I will always
go.
love you.
Oh,
Love
like it. Well done.
I have
Well done, Beck.
a husky
Beck Cole.
voice, so it just like cuts out. My balls dropped when I was 18.
That next one is too high.
That is very
Well done.
Well done. Well, that is very deserving of this. And maybe a career after basketball in a whole new genre. So maybe pass it over to Beck. So for completing that, Golf Box has very generously given you a $250 gift voucher for their superstore. So do you play golf, Beck? by any chance?
So I do love going to the driving range,
counts,
actually
that
at Albert
counts.
Park, and
yes, great
smashing
drive.
balls.
At night
Perfect.
time, do you ever go at night with the lights on?
I have gone a couple
summer,
of
it's
times in
nice.
in
Yeah,
summer.
nice.
I
Yeah.
love.
Well, have a look on golfbox.com.au and they should maybe
Well,
a nice
$250
driver.
bucks. That should get you a few nice goodies to take down to the driving range.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Yeah,
And
love it.
Fleet Plan Hire. Fleet Plan Hire Solutions, who are our wonderful naming right partners of the dos&d show. They are earth-moving equipment, but we always say, unfortunately, we don't have a bobcat to send you home in or anything like that. But they are mad golf as well. So they are sending you home with a golf goodie bag. So you're going to get socks, a towel, a glove, balls, tees, everything. So we're going to send you home with that. So
Little golf
you can
pack.
get your golf on. And we must say, Fleet Plan Hire Solutions are best in the business. All things earth-moving, aren't they?
They are. They're the best.
Truck hire, plan hire, they do it all.
They do. Hope you enjoy those.
Yeah.
I want to know what you get, actually.
Yeah.
I'm also excited about the glove because I clearly
glove.
don't
Yeah.
know like the technique of
think
hitting
it's
a ball.
is it about
and
the
I
look?
always get a blister here, so I'm pumped for the glove.
Yeah,
There
you
you
get the
go.
glove.
That's
That'll,
what it's
that'll
for.
look after
That's
you.
what it's
Yeah.
for.
Well, there we go. Anything else for Beck?
No,
before we go?
this has been awesome. Thanks so much, Beck. We appreciate you coming on.
How do we find you on Instagram for the listeners?
Thanks for having me, guys. This was fun. Love talking a bit of smack with you too.
Yeah.
At Rebecca, the letter J, Cole.
Rebecca J. Cole. And maybe plug the podcast too, actually.
Oh yeah, so podcast I have with the NBL and my co-host Mitch Creek. It's called The Performance Circus, and you can find us on Spotify.
Highly recommend.
Love it. Awesome. Thanks again, Beck.
No, thank you guys.